Welcome to Heroes of the Dorm 2016. We're broadcasting live from ESPN's Wide World of Sports on Watch ESPN, YouTube, and Twitch. Today, we've got the Super 16 fighting for just 8 spots in the bracket. Prepare yourselves for all-day action and the ultimate esports collegiate battle.
These games have been fantastic. Oh my gosh. It's getting low. I don't think they're going to be able to save it in time.
Oh, and Melkor taking a lot of damage here, but Zero goes down. This is dead. It looks like they may have enough damage to actually end this game right now.
They are your heroes of the dorm.
Hey there, and welcome to Heroes of the Dorm 2016. My name is Tim Trikslyr Frazier, and joining me is Jaycie, Gillyweed, Gluck. Jaycie, how's it going?
Tim, today has been the day I have been excited for since we started Heroes of the Dorm. Not only do we get to cover every single match of this round, but we also finally get to bring in those top seeds, the #1 seeds from each region that are left, and see just how good they really are.
The heavy hitters are coming. Jaycie is right, but if you missed last weekend, the round of 64 and the round of 32 were fantastic. Our very own Kevin Cloaken Johnson has the highlights just for you.
First up, Carleton versus UT Dallas. This is game 2 on Towers of Doom. Muradin caught in a devouring maw, but erupts with the support of a divine shield from Uther. But Carleton comes back with one of the craziest finishes of the weekend, getting the final points of core damage out of this bot lane Merc camp. Wild stuff. Carleton goes on to take the series over Dallas 2-1. Next, Arizona State versus Laval. 10% of all completed brackets predicting ASU to take the entire tournament. Game 1 on Cursed Hollow was an absolute pixel bath as we see Arizona State starting to get the upper hand with the victory. Then, check out this gust into Void Prison on Battlefield of Eternity. ASU advances over Laval 2-0. UC Irvine versus University of Illinois. Game 2, we saw great team fighting out of Irvine, and unfortunately some mistakes out of Illinois like these aggressive Falstad flies from Unlimited, even the attempt to save with the ETC mosh pit, but the dance simply isn't enough. UC Irvine moves on to the round of 16 with a 2-1 victory over one of last year's Heroic 4. Boston College versus Western Washington. Game 2 on Sky Temple. Boston College with a nice sundering, able to secure a few corner takedowns, followed up by a devouring maw on Washington's Kerosene. Another dominant 2-0 series for BC as they prove year over year that they are a force to be reckoned with. Next, University of Connecticut versus Indiana. Battlefield of Eternity. Dan Lee for 3 able to snag the raw 4-man mosh pit deep into enemy territory. Nothing but simple cleanup to follow. Here's another cool combo from earlier in that game. Chiruno with the maw followed up by the mosh pit. Mwah! The Tricky Turtles continue to impress, taking the series 2-0. They will advance to the round of 16. Utah versus Johns Hopkins. Game 2, a nice hook on Zagara, but countered with the devouring maw. Can you feel it? That's joy coming from Li Ming as she fires everything. These takedowns opening up a window of opportunity for Johns Hopkins to snag the late game Dragon Knight and push straight into Utah's core. Nice attempt to counter by Utah, but it won't be enough. Johns Hopkins takes the win with a 2-0. Toronto versus East Carolina. Toronto moves in for the boss defense. Is it a trap? Looks like it. ECU shows nothing but poise and anticipation as they counter, taking out hero after hero. I gotta say, ECU is turning some heads. Oddish and crew are looking so strong with their solid game sense and mechanical skill. Can't wait to see more as they move on to the round of 16. Texas Tech versus Washington University. Game 3 on Sky Temple. Texas Tech trying to get value out of Zul's Poison Nova after using every other tool in their kit. But Washington University will have none of it, continuing to aggressively push forward. Smart game sense out of Ice Shiny to reposition for the surprising flank. He'll mop up this team fight and snag the contested series with a 2-1 victory. Tennessee versus Buffalo. UT experienced the pressure of Buffalo late into Game 1 on Cursed Hollow, but have no fear, the crew from Tennessee managed to buckle down and fight back in this competitive 3-game series by chipping away at the divided resources of Buffalo and eventually taking the series 2-1. Georgia Tech versus Minnesota. Game 1 on Cursed Hollow. Gonzo's Thrall is in trouble, but this clutch Sundering Divine Palm combo completely turns this fight around. Minnesota showing that they know how to play the patient, reactive game. The 6th seed from the north knocks out the 3rd seed from the south and moves on with a 2-0 win. Last but certainly not least, UT Arlington versus UCLA. UTA uses Shadow Stalk for the disengage, followed up by this disruptive Mighty Gust. It is never good to have your teams sitting on top of one another, and UTA capitalizes with UCLA on the run, focusing down target after target. The dart blazes harrowing and moves on, taking the series 2-0.
So many great games in the round of 64 and the round of 32. Gillyweed, was such a treat to watch. But before we start talking about today's brackets, let's talk about what happened with Team Ambush, made up of students from Harvard. An investigation was done by TESPA and Blizzard that revealed a player from Team Ambush was sharing his Battle.net account with a player who was not on the team's roster. As a result, Team Ambush has been disqualified from Heroes of the Dorm. That means Cal Berkeley was automatically advanced to the round of 32, where they faced Indiana Purdue to determine who would advance to the Super 16. They faced off yesterday in an offline match, and Cal Berkeley won with a 2-0. That means Cal Berkeley will be advancing today's Super 16, and let's take a look at the bracket, see how it stands now. As you can see there in the top right corner, Cal Berkeley moved all the way down to the Super 16. Gilly, we got so many brackets. What matches are you looking forward to?
Well, Cal Berkeley will be facing San Jose State, but the matches I have my eye on specifically are East Carolina versus Minnesota in the D bracket.
It's going to be a good one.
Yeah, the teams are very close in seeding, and I feel in skill as well, so I think that's going to be a really fun one to watch too. And then I also think Washington Hot Dogs versus UC Irvine, that's going to be another great one to watch.
That'll be a great match. In the top right corner too, UConn versus Ohio State.
Oh, yeah.
Ohio State is the only, lowest seed that we actually fill out in the bracket, and they are still trucking. But the match that you and I will be casting first here will be Boston College versus Johns Hopkins. Johns Hopkins will be the blue team here. Boston College will be the red team. And Johns Hopkins, if I were to describe them quickly, they're basically a little fish here, man. They've been thrown into a big pond with a lot of teams, and they just keep swimming, and they keep winning.
Right, but it's going to be very difficult for them here. Boston College, one of the top contenders of this tournament, the number 2 seed in this bracket, and it's very obvious just looking at the stats that Boston College is the clear team to win. They have a very short average game length. Their average kill-death ratio is a lot higher, but I wouldn't count Johns Hopkins out yet. They've been doing really well so far this tournament.
Let's take a look at this roster. Solingen, Tactical, Kylaris, Gattican, and Ember Strike will really round out this roster, and they are a team that prioritizes teamwork. They're all about heart. They were a team that were happy to be in the round of 64, and then they won. Then they went to the round of 32, and they keep winning. They are somehow making it work, and they're now starting to really believe in themselves. They can go pretty far, especially if they make it after today's match.
Oh, definitely, but it will be a tough one for them for sure. Now, this is Johns Hopkins that we saw, and they were prioritizing having a lot of Sonya, Li Ming picks as well, Muradin, and then also we had Lieutenant Morales. But moving over to Boston College, the team that will be our red team, we have Apollo, B-Bay, King Plato, Yoro, and Simicute. Returning members from last year are Apollo, King Plato, and Simicute. And with the experience that Apollo and King Plato bring, especially with their other tournament experience, they've been the ones that have been the big front line. They've got Apollo on Warrior, King Plato on the melee assassin role for the most part. And that way, with them in front, the rest of them can kind of follow suit and just follow these really 2 big leaders.
Yeah, Boston College really has a strong foundation. 1, because of the tournaments that we've seen them in the past, but 2, they were here in Heroes of the Dorm last year, and they made it very far, only being beaten by Cal Berkeley, the team to win in 2015. So they're back with vengeance. They want to get redemption this year. They want to win the entire tournament. They're not even looking at this match. They feel like they've won it already. They want to go all the way to the finals and win the entire tournament.
Yeah, when I talked to them before this match, they said that they were looking a little bit at Johns Hopkins. They, of course, checked them out, scoped them out, watched the games that were played, and planned to watch more of their replays, but they were way more concerned with being able to go up against UT Arlington, who they would potentially face in the round of 8.
In the Epic 8, we'll see them. All right, well, let's focus on this match because we have the Battleground, the Tomb of the Spider Queen, going to be our first Battleground. As you will see, this battleground is a very small map. The lanes are very close together. There will be a lot of takedowns occurring. As you can see here, these little small corridors where teams can pick off opponents that are wandering a little bit too far. Here's a few mercenary camps. You can see one on the left, the one on the right, and the one on the bottom, and the boss at the very top, often called the throne pit, especially on this battleground in particular.
Yeah.
And there is a turn in. You'll turn in gems, which will unlock these web weavers, which will push across the map, and of course start taking out infrastructure. Now, you want to take a chance to balance out all of these resources and try and find a way to kill the most important target, which of course is that core. So when we go to the draft, what do you think the teams will be picking up on this battleground? What's important for you?
Well, on Tomb of the Spider Queen, wave clear is very, very important, making sure to keep the lanes pushed. There also is a lot of potential for aggression. The lanes are very close together, so you can look for heroes that can rotate around and maybe try to pick off some of your opponents in the early game. Also, vision cannot be discounted on Tomb of the Spider Queen. There are 2 turn-in points, and as we can see with the heat map specifically, this is a map of all of the player deaths that have happened so far in Heroes of the Dorm. In the middle area where both of those turn-in points, there's a lot of fighting that happens there, so if you can get vision and see where your opponents are, see where they're turning in, that will be really great for you to be able to draft.
Yeah, heroes like Zagara and Tassadar can be great. Also, on the top and left, right, you saw some more red blobs, and that means that bosses are pushing there and people are being taken down, so you'll see the top lane taking a lot of pressure as well. So this is a battleground that we're going to see what our teams will be picking up. Let's go ahead and move to the draft and get these games kicked off.
Can't wait to see what the teams are going to draft now. Johns Hopkins was a team that in the round of 32 and even 64 were prioritizing double warrior. They wanted to get a Muradin with the Sonya, and then also they wanted to get Li Ming. They felt very comfortable having her, and we saw how great Kylaris was on Lieutenant Morales. But when we talked to them, they said, we know that Boston College can see these games. We know that there's the potential that they are going to be banning those. And you can see Boston College has already taken Muradin out. So we have to hope that Johns Hopkins has been able to find some other strategies here.
Yeah, Boston College taking out that Muradin, which again really takes up that front line that Gillyweed was talking about. Sonya and Muradin is not an option in this game. Zul will be banned out for Johns Hopkins. Great pick, especially on this battleground. We talked about that wave clear, and he excels very well at that. Thrall, the pickup for Johns Hopkins, and I'm going to put my money on it here. I think Ember Strike is going to be playing Thrall. They were talking about options that could really help him out and allow him to play a role that was similar to Sonya, and Thrall is one of those heroes that can do just that.
Right. Both of these teams actually have gone through roster changes in this tournament, mainly between group stage and then this bracket stage, where they've switched that melee assassin with the warrior, and now Johns Hopkins has Tactical, who they believe to be the best mechanically playing the warrior role. So they will likely have Ember Strike on that Thrall. They're also going to add Tyrande. Here's a hero that provides vision, and with ETC, now they have a potential to rotate between lanes and look for picks on members of Boston College.
Johns Hopkins is really switching it up here. We had more of a aggressive front line with supports that were more passive, like Morales, but we see Tyrande here being picked up, which is a more aggressive support here. So Kylaris is going to need to show up today and make sure to hit those Luna Flares and those Hunter marks. Boston College will get Li Ming and Zagara, getting them that vision. Of course, the damage as well. They seem to be prioritizing the ability to win team fights already.
Right. Now, with the next set of bans, Falstad will be taken out from Johns Hopkins. Boston College are going to remove Greymane from the equation, and we'll see what they add to this Tassadar. Look how much vision these teams are prioritizing, especially Boston College. Not only do they have creep tumors, but they take away the potential for Johns Hopkins to get Tyrande Tassadar together, because Oracle is so good at helping them spot out those creep tumors and remove them.
Yeah, and also Tyrande and Tassadar together are just enough support to really kind of nullify what Li Ming brings to the table. So great drafts already from both teams. Uther will be picked up here, and now Johns Hopkins, not being able to get Greymane, will not have that ETC Greymane combo we've been seeing the entire tournament. But now Vala, as a 4th hero, being picked up for the team. Nice damage as well. I would love to maybe see another support here, and there it is. Brightwing will be the choice. Interesting pick. Her global presence isn't as strong as you would normally see on a lot of battlegrounds, but she does bring in that pixie dust action. You can pick up talents later on at 13 and 16 that really help out with that ability damage coming from Li Ming.
So Tyrande actually does provide some really good damage if you can spec her into so. So being able to have this double support allows them to be able to potentially put her more on the damage dealer role while just assisting Brightwing with the support. And plus, Brightwing is such a good hero to leave in a lane for long periods of time until you really need her in the fight. So they'll now have a really great safe laner to have. Boston College, one more pick left. It will need to be their warrior. Johanna looks like a great option here. Muradin's already taken out. ETC has been picked up, but Johanna provides very good wave clear, and there it will be.
Gotta agree with you. Johanna also great here for bringing the Condemn in and allowing the Zagara to hit a really strong Devouring Wall. Great drafts here from both teams. In fact, I can't really actually give it to a particular team here. They both have strategies that, A, are great and engaging if you look at Boston College, but you have the double support here for Johns Hopkins, which can be very good against Li Ming. If you can out-heal her damage and her aggression, she will actually come to a point where she is actually mana starved. And at that point, she doesn't have any more damage. So pretty interesting strategies.
I agree with you. I like both of the drafts, and we don't even have to wait any longer to see them in action. The game is ready on Tomb of the Spider Queen.
Let's do it. All right, here we go. On the very far left side, Johns Hopkins, the button mashers, bringing in Solion, Tactical, Kylaris, Yatacane, and Ember Strike. Really trying to continue moving forward with their Cinderella story, if you will. This team that is so small, but yet making big splashes in the pond here. On the very far right, Boston College, Pool Plato, ST, Apollo, Bay, King Plato, Euro, and Semi-Q. Again, going back to Gillyweed's point, Apollo, Semi-Q, and King Plato are really the team that is the foundation for this entire roster. Now, if you would like to tweet at Heroes of the Dorm, let us know who you'll be voting for. Vote JHU or vote BC for Boston College, and let us know who you think will be winning this battleground. 1 second here, we're getting a quick pause, but just jumping back into it, I think the early game is going to go to Boston College here for a little bit.
Yeah, you always have to consider who has a lot of lockdown, which is good. They've got Johanna and Uther, so having that will be really nice for them. They have vision to really see the rotations, but you do have to remember that ETC and Tyrande is a great roaming composition, and with Brightwing in a lane, they've got Vala and Thrall. All are very good laners. They can really just be free to keep ETC and Tyrande moving around, looking for anybody to step out of position. So I think it'll go back and forth between these two teams, and it's up to Boston to make sure that they don't get caught out in those positions, because that's what I think that we would see Johns Hopkins looking for.
Yeah, we're going to see, if we do see any aggression from them, it's going to be ETC and Tyrande, but the Brightwing comes together at level 7, which gives it phase shift ability that brings in a shield, and that'll allow for her to help out ETC and also Thrall for any engagement, and then you can bring in the Tyrande combo. They start to really level up as they go throughout the game. But, you know, let's actually look at a player that is going to stand out for me this game. It's going to be Solion. Solion is actually the team captain here for Johns Hopkins. In fact, him and Kylaris are actually dating. Last year, in the year 2015, they created a team together, wound up actually going a little bit further than the game, and they wound up dating for the year, and they wanted to come back because they just love the spirit of competition. So very cool that this team captain, his girlfriend, and of course his entire team really bring in the spirit of Heroes of Dorm to the table.
Heroes bringing people together,
That's
teams,
right.
friends, girlfriend and boyfriend in this case, but though we do have Solion, and I thought it was pretty interesting that we have Solion, who's normally an assassin player, playing ETC this game.
Yeah, it looks like he's trying to bring in the real shot calling here. He is the main shot caller, but Tactical is a pseudo shot caller here for Johns Hopkins. So he said, you know what? I'm going to hop on ETC. I will make sure to hit the combos. You guys follow up. And that's something that a team captain should pull off. And Boston College will be doing the same here with their team. And it looks like we're actually ready to hop into the game here. It looks like a player disconnected, but got back in really fast. Here we go. The action now starting.
So it makes a lot of sense to put Tactical on Tyrande as well. Tyrande is a very high skill level hero to be able to make sure to hit those stuns and everything you need to be doing with her. So it makes sense to put that person who they believe to be the strongest mechanically on that hero.
Totally agree with you. I was really wondering if they were to go with the solo support with Kylaris on it, but we will see her Tyrande another day. Tactical going to be bringing in that action. Now, looking over to the right team here for Boston College, we were talking about it a little bit. Apollo, Semi-Q, and King Plato really are the foundation for this team, but Bay, playing Li Ming right now, is a guy that's really starting to stand out for me. He's starting to come into his own. He's making plays when necessary. He's bringing in the damage when necessary as well. He's kind of a Li Ming Vala main, it seems like, so we'll see him probably play Vala later on today too.
Yeah, B-Bay is actually fairly new to Heroes of the Storm. Just started recently for this event, I believe. So it's been great to be able to see his growth as a player, and I know that Li Ming is one of his favorite heroes to play. We've been seeing him really do well with both Li Ming and Vala, so I know that they've got to be feeling pretty confident with the drafts that they've picked up here.
Some back and forth action already in the game here, as it looks like Johns Hopkins will take that damage in more of a negative light than Boston College here. And Boston College doing great with these rotations, having Johanna lead, really trying to grab as many of those orbs as possible for the Conjure Pursuit talents. Looking over to Johns Hopkins, looks like we're going to see maybe multi-shot build here from Johns Hopkins, which will allow for the players to really just kind of help out with the slows and really allow Vala to stay back and not really apply too much damage until necessary.
Right. Also, if they're looking to potentially keep her just in lane with moving ETC and Sharonda around, being able to have that multi-shot build to keep her safely in lane, but being able to clear out these minions pretty quickly, as we see here, that's going to be able to help her out.
Yeah, and Gatacane's actually the one playing Vala right now. Gatacane's a little bit on the newer side, too, to Heroes of the Storm. Talking to him, he seemed a little reserved when we were talking about what your strengths, what your cons. He seems to enjoy playing heroes, but he's just not quite sure where he fits. He's trying to make his own identity. So hopefully as we go throughout this tournament, he'll get a little bit more confident and bring what he has to the table.
He actually had one of my favorite survey answers.
Yeah?
He said that he got his grandma into watching esports.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes she'll actually text him and be like, "Did you see this match?" And he's like, "Grandma, I'm trying to take a test here."
I'm in the middle of taking exams, Grandma. Back off. Yeah, it's pretty awesome that his grandma and family does support him. And I'm sure if you are watching at home and you are a family, thank you for coming out and watching Heroes of the Dorm and watching our teams compete. In the middle, we're starting to get some turn-ins here for Boston College, although we do see a bit of engagement down in the bottom right. It looks like Thrall will retreat, but gyms are starting to be turned in. 17 out of 50 here for Boston College, 8 out of 50 for Johns Hopkins. Boston is actually doing a better job in terms of controlling the map. I think that's going to be the story here until we get to level 7. King Plato, though, taking damage here from Ember Strike. Ember is an aggressive player, and he's making it work down here.
Right. The very important thing for Johns Hopkins to remember is if they let Pool Plato, Boston College, get too many turn-ins in a row, it could be a really big problem for them because of how much vision that Boston College has between Tassadar. He's picked up mental acuity, so he has Oracle more often, and between the creep with Zagara, they have the potential to get a couple of turn-ins in a row, completely just paint the map with that creep, and then be able to just jump on Johns Hopkins whenever they try to turn in. And by that point, they'll be down in experience because of all the structures that Boston College will be able to get. So it's very important that they stay aggressive here in the early game.
Boston College really taking that early game strategy to heart here and making it work. What does Johns Hopkins have to do to really make this not do so well for Boston College? They have to be clearing this creep. Unfortunately, Vala is the only one that has a really easy tool to do that with the multi-shot. Brightwing does have her Q as well. Maybe picking up a talent at level 4 would have been good here for Johns Hopkins to be able to get that clarity, to be able to see what's going on. And I believe they actually will be picking that up.
Yeah, they did grab Peekaboo, so that will help. But King Plato is in trouble. Solian and Tactical are coming in, and this is what they need to do. They have to start getting very aggressive versus Boston College, and first blood going over to Johns Hopkins.
Nice rotation there. We're going to see a killed member, and it looks like Ember Strike will be able to heal up with that Frost Wolf, and Brightwing showing up to help out as well. They need to clear up this creep, though. This should be their next priority, and also make sure that their opponents are not turning in, as we see Apollo sneaking in 14 gems. And this will be the first turn of the game going to Boston College.
All right, so with the first turn in on Tomb of the Spider Queen, you're really looking to try to take out as many towers as possible, but these guys have already been doing a good job of that just with their rotations and being aggressive in lanes, so they may be able to get more with that. But the idea is that you just get as much experience as possible and also try to clear up as many waves as you can to potentially get a second turn in a row. That's when you start trying to take down the forts.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. You want to grab as many of those towers as you can. Although Johns Hopkins doesn't have the best wave clear in the world, so there could be a potential fort taken out on here if Boston College is able to catch them out of a rotation. You see the entire team here for Johns Hopkins, all 4 of them looking to try and get this engagement. Toronto's in the top trying to deal with this, but I feel like that might be a mistake here. She's going to have a harder time rotating than Brightwing would. But they will kill the first Web Weaver down here, and we're going to see Boston College put pressure on the top lane. Great pick here, especially with Toronto being there. Toronto's wave clear is pretty abysmal.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Has a really hard time getting rid of minions. So he's going to need support here. Team will rotate up. Nicely done.
Right, but they do get both of the towers. They get a level lead, but it's not too bad. It's not a position which is the worst place. Actually, they may be able to get this fort. Yeah, there we go. So they will at least pick up 1 fort. That's a great win off of the first Web Weaver turn.
That's a huge win.
Yeah.
You hardly ever will get a fort on the first one, so that's big for Boston College. And again, that comes down to Johns Hopkins not prioritizing wave clear. They're prioritizing team fights and sustain. And so we'll see if that works out for them in the mid game.
So like I was saying before, Play-Doh aren't in a position where they have nearly their heroic abilities, where they know that if they can just hold off on stopping Johns Hopkins from turning in, they'll be able to get heroics, and then Johns Hopkins just have to leave. And that gives Boston College time to be able to get a second turn in a row. It won't be that easy for them, and that's really good for Johns Hopkins that they were able to keep up the 3-lane soak. They did lose a fort, but at least they haven't gotten into that major deficit that would be very detrimental for him that I mentioned before.
Gotta agree with you. And Boston College now just a little bit ahead here. Moving forward in the race to level 10, they do have a slight lead, and I feel like there's not going to be a situation here where Johns Hopkins is going to take back that lead. Their entire middle and bottom lane is kind of owned here by Boston College, and the top lane isn't really a scenario that you can really force things to happen, and especially with the boss being such a hard thing to grab in the early game. And now Boston College keeping up with the turn-ins. We see Solian trying to find a way to maneuver his way in for a turn-in because he has 22 gems, and the rest of the team is going to help out. We do have a member getting picked off, though. This is one way to bring back that deficit that they're in. King Play-Doh, second kill of the game.
Yeah, they've been doing a really good job of knowing what they need to do with the comp they have, but they still are a little bit behind in experience. So there's going to be a window where at least while Boston College have their heroic abilities, they don't have Zagara, and her heroic is such an integral part to a big team fight. So this is really good for Johns Hopkins. This is exactly what they need to do. I'm very impressed with that, and the window is done.
We actually have Li Ming getting picked off by Johanna and Bay here. A quick rotation. You saw Johns Hopkins realizing what Gilly was saying earlier. Oh, there's a member missing. We can actually push out a little bit and grab that experience to get us level 10. But Boston College, having the confidence there, showed up, brought in some aggression. They used Blessed Shield, and they took out Bola immediately. But that is a cooldown that is unavailable for the next 30 seconds.
Now, another thing to consider is the fact that Boston College almost have another turn-in. We're looking at 75 gems being held on the players of Johns Hopkins. So the fact that now with another web weaver spawn for Boston College, not only are they going to start pushing onto forts, trying to get more experience structurally, but Johns Hopkins starts to feel afraid of engaging because they don't want to get taken out and lose all those gems.
Gotta get over your fears, though. That's how you come back in these games, Gillyweed. We're going to see Johns Hopkins try to defend their fort. They don't really have the resources here to do that. If I'm Boston College, I'm putting pressure here. I'm dropping roaches, I'm dropping hydras, and I'm getting that fort secured.
Yeah, I mean, the web weaver is still full. Just another blast from that should be enough to be able to take out that fort. It's out of ammo too, but they are going in for a fight. Lunar Flare hits Yoro, but it looks like ETC could go down. A great force wall makes sure that he can't escape, and that will be the next kill for Boston College.
That force wall was pivotal to getting that kill.
Good.
Lined everything up. Lion officially just stood still there while all the abilities from Li Ming came in and just hit him straight in the face, and that's going to be a ground beef here for the team of Johns Hopkins, and now they're forced to retreat, and they're taking more damage. The top fort is being picked apart. Boston College, while not being hyper-aggressive, is slowly choking out their opponents here. They're getting the vision, they're getting the aggression, and they're just slowly just chunking away the opposing team. Johns Hopkins needs to get something done soon.
Yeah, this is one of the great things about a team like Boston College, who has so much experience. The fact that they are able to switch out and play such different compositions. This is much different than what we saw from them in the group stage, and so that way they can continue to keep their opponents guessing as to what they are going to do. And now with that great push with the web weavers, they suddenly find themselves up 13 almost here, and just 12 about to be there for Johns Hopkins. So that'll be another window of time where Johns Hopkins has to decide if they're willing to get into a fight while being down a talent tier.
Yeah, they're going to have to wait, too, because they don't have Sundering for 10 more seconds, but they could, if they would like to try and move in, maybe try and pick somebody off, but still, even then, it's such a gamble here. We have Solian going in on Tassadar, but remember, Tassadar does have that dimensional shift to walk away, so that was a free trade for him. We're going to see Bay trying to poke, trying to get some aggression in, and it looks like Bay is essentially the main hero for this team. Wait for Li Ming to get a couple of damage hits in, and then go for the engage.
Right, and she's picked up Glass Cannon too, so she'll be very important to protect because she does sacrifice that 15% maximum health, but gains 15% ability power, so her abilities are going to be chunking the members of Johns Hopkins down, but Johns Hopkins just needs to try to get a fight, find a fight, what they were doing earlier when they were able to find people out of position for Boston College.
But it's so hard with this creep constantly being spread out to find those scenarios where you can get to an engagement. But that's what we saw from Johns Hopkins last week that was so great, is they had rotated so much, and they constantly picked off people and slowly just took out their opponents by not ever getting into team fights, but by picking opponents apart and really getting leads. They're not doing that this game.
Right, they are not. It's a lot harder when you start to have people who know to watch out for that kind of thing and know where to anticipate your opponent will be. Now, finally, Johns Hopkins are about to get their level 13. It's taking them some time because they're really trying to stick together, only really leaving Brightwing by herself because she can always phase shift into the team if she's needed. So they're going to start to be able to get their bruisers, try to at least push this back too, potentially. And then if they can get that, maybe get enough of a push into a lane that Pool Play-Doh has to respond, and maybe they can get a turn in that way. Look how many gems they have.
They have a ton of gems, so if they do win a team fight, they can get that turned in. So the potential to come back is here for Johns Hopkins. Remember, they do have their keeps, which is probably the most important infrastructure to have besides the core. Having that prevents any pressure from coming your way. Solian will engage on Johanna, but that usually is ill-advised that she's able to walk away with her iron skin. Solian floating around here, trying to help out with the peel, but trying so hard here to get Ember Strike to get a turn in. He has so many gems, and Thrall is a hero that needs to get up in front to apply his damage, so getting rid of those gems will allow him to do that much easier and safer. There goes the Tyrande Lunar Flare. It will miss, but Dimensional Shift is popped anyways. Both teams are occurring here, trying to get their damage in, and that's going to be an immediate burn on Tyrande. However, Tassadar will be taking some damage. Johanna moving forward here. A Maul on Solian will hold ETC down. Ember Strike trying to stay alive. Brightwing bringing in the shields as well. Mosh Pit is still available here, Gilly.
It is. We'll see if he uses it. There he goes in. They've got the stun into the mosh pit. They do use a Divine Shield to get Zagar out, and Apollo can tank that damage for a bit. And with that, they turn the fight, take out Thrall, and are continuing to push forward.
But the gems, Gillyweed, 42 gems are going to be dropped here as Ember Strike did get picked off. Bay bringing in more damage as well, and these fights are just so decisive for Boston College. You can see the confidence. They're moving up to the boss here and going to start grabbing that huge thing to lumber down the top lane.
So Thrall is down for 10 seconds. Johns Hopkins likely will know that this is an option, that they are going for this too. Just the fact that everyone from Boston College is completely off the map, but they're really not into position at all to be able to deal with this, and I just don't think they feel comfortable trying to fight these guys.
Yeah, you can really see the uncertainty in them. You can tell that they understand that Boston College is the upper hand, but you know, sometimes you got to shake that. Realize this is you. You're in the moment here. You need to be able to come back. You need to be able to make your plays. You need to play your game. Right now, I'm not seeing the game here from Johns Hopkins that they played last week. They are playing scared, and it's noticeable.
Pool Play-Doh got a turn in too, which of course reveals if any mercenary camps are being picked up. And Johns Hopkins moved away from that as well. So they have nothing going for them at this point. They just have to sit in base and try to defend this very big push that's coming in. Level 16 for Boston. A boss is coming in too. Webweaver's right behind this. This is very easily going to be a keep for them.
Yeah, high priority for them is to try to hold on to this keep if they can, but you're right. It's looking like a keep that could go down here as Boston College is putting on the pressure. Brightwing is starting to get to a point here where she's able to grab those abilities that will help her with the ability damage coming from Li Ming, but still, could it be a little bit too late? We see the Webweaver getting chunked down, but with the keep being down a quarter health here, one Hydra and a Li Ming damage cycle will be enough to take out that keep. It is pretty low here. Gaticane and Solian are getting chunked, and there goes the keep. Finally being picked off, but Johns Hopkins will finally defend that lane.
Now, it's really important to note that the keep that went down is in the top. That's where the boss pushes, of course, so getting a boss for Pool Play-Doh, if they make it to that far too, that once again could definitely be game over for Johns Hopkins, but they're even pushing in here into the mid. They know that Johns Hopkins are having a really hard time trying to find any engage, so they're just going to put whatever damage they can on the keeps and know that with one keep down already, all they have to do is win a team fight very decisively, and they'll have a way in, a window in from any lane to go straight for the core.
Well, good news for Johns Hopkins. They did defend that middle keep. Blessed Shield was also used there by Boston College, so you can start seeing Thrall and ETC being a little bit more aggressive there. They're trying to play around that heroic if possible, and with it being down, they could get into an engagement if they hit 16 relatively soon. However, that cooldown will be done in 20 seconds here, so you see Boston College just pull back, play reserved, grab mercenaries, keep up the pressure, and just keep moving forward like they have.
And they're about to level 16, so they'll be on the same talent tier, can maybe try to finally get a turn in for them, as they still have 85 gems that they could potentially turn in. But Boston College really don't want to give them that chance. They're going to continue to just push the lanes back and back, which will at least give them vision. You know, if Johns Hopkins tried to sneak to a turn-in point, then they're going to know about it. Or if they try to fight their way to, they will know about that as well, and they're even going to steal the bruisers away from Johns Hopkins. So every single objective by Pool Play-Doh is just being grabbed so that Johns Hopkins is never allowed a way back into this game.
So much pressure here in the mid lane. You just see Boston College really trying to move in. This is the time here for Johns Hopkins to make a stand. They want to try and get to the back line, grab Zagara Li-Ming, and potentially Semi-Q as well, because they want to really prevent that Divine Shield from stopping the Mosh Pit. There goes the Mosh Pit. 3 members are caught, a 4th actually as well, but the Divine Shield is enough. You see King Plato turn around and use a Devouring Maw. Ember Strike trying to get the aggression, and all the heroics have been burned here, though, for Boston College, so they're going to have to fight with auto attacks and pure adrenaline here. They move in. Li-Ming is caught. Bay now retreating once again. King Plato getting low on mana here, and finally Johns Hopkins makes a stand, but they lose the keep.
They lose the keep and they don't get anybody. I mean, really all they did was bait out the Divine Shield and the Devouring Maw, but they still don't even grab a kill. They really haven't gotten any since those early picks on Zagara. So once Boston College got their feel, knew that they had control of the game, they really have not given it up. Only 1 keep remaining for Johns Hopkins.
Semi-Q was probably the key player in the entire fight. He's playing so well in terms of just understanding what his role is with his team composition. It's a sit back, heal when necessary, and hit the Divine Shield when a Mosh Pit comes in. Stay out of range of that Mosh Pit coming in your way or any type of power slide, and you can save your team, and he did just that. So nice job there by Semi-Q. Pressure here in the bottom lane as a 3rd keep will go down, and Boston College now has pressure in all 3 lanes and full map dominance.
The great thing, too, for Boston College is that they not only have the Divine Shield, but Cleanse, too. So they really can get 2 people out of that mosh pit, and that's really the biggest that Solion's been able to hit so far. And it has been on both Li-Ming and on Zagara, but they're able to bring Zagara out. She can mosh pit, or she can Devouring Maw whenever she needs, and then if they need to, they even have the Cleanse, too, to be able to get people out. So far, not really finding what they want with those mosh pits.
Ember Strike trying to get the first turn in of the game here for Johns Hopkins. Remember, they have not turned in once this game, trying to sneak in, but the control here from Boston College is just too much. Ember Strike will get force walled, luckily able to sneak out, but not before being chunked, and we now have the engagement happening here. Thrall is dead immediately here. Johanna chasing down. King Plato trying to help out. A Lunar Flare will keep him at bay, but Apollo in the face of Tactical, and that is going to be a dead Tyrande. Brightwing trying to come in for the save, but is not going to be able to help out. Kylaris running, getting chunked as well, and it looks like finally all 3 members will be able to retreat, but can they hold this push here from Boston College?
I don't think they're going to be able to, especially if they keep losing people. Gatacane going to get forced back 2, and Disintegrate comes out. Kylaris does get a blink heal to be able to save the day, but that's still time that they need to be able to recharge health before they can come out and defend. So Boston College starting to work down the core, put some damage on it.
Yeah, Boston College going for it now. Remember, they don't quite have full auto attackers, so they have to put abilities in here, but Gatacane getting bullied around, and it looks like this just might be enough. Boston College coming out with pure determination and taking game number 1 decisively here. Johns Hopkins looked like they didn't even have a chance that game.
Yeah, I mean, they knew in theory what they needed to do with their comps.
Yeah.
They knew they had ETC and Tyrande, and that they needed to find people out of position and be able to pick them off. But really, it was just King Plato in the early game. And once Boston College did what I said they needed to do, which was just get a couple turn-ins in a row, get their vision ready, get the creep laid out, there was never really a chance for them to ever cross that halfway point again.
Yeah, you got to wonder if the draft was just not enough there for Johns Hopkins. You can just tell they had no wave clear, so they couldn't deal with the full pressure constantly coming their way. You saw a few engagements here and there, but the force walls, once again, were great here from Heroes. Semi-Q always there with Divine Shields if there was ever a massive Divine Shield that were important. They kept losing gems as well. Boston College really coming out and making a statement.
They are, and with that, they will be up 1-0 in this best of 3. And here is another really big fight. The fact that they were able even to sustain through the big engages that Johns Hopkins was going through. You know, they got a couple of very good sunderings. It was everything they needed to be doing. It's just that Boston College already knew it was coming and already knew how to deal with it.
So in game number 2, I want Johns Hopkins to come back with a fire lit, if you will. Get aggressive. You need to put Boston College off of their game plan. Don't allow them to be so decisive like we just saw. But that's going to be in game number 2. But we want to let you guys know what's coming up later on today. Let's check out the upcoming matches that will be occurring throughout the entire day. We have all the matches here from the Super 16. UT Arlington Carleton will be the match that Gilly and I will be bringing you later on. UC Irvine versus Washington will be brought to you by Jake and Kevin. LSU Tennessee, UConn, and Ohio State. We got a few more matches after that as well, but again, a lot of epic matches coming your way.
And tune in tomorrow for the Epic 8, which will start at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And then, of course, we will have our Heroic 4 and Grand Finals April 9th and 10th, I believe. And you can find all of today and tomorrow's matches on Watch ESPN, YouTube, and Twitch. And then here is the schedule for our Heroic 4 and Grand Finals, which will be on ESPN2, also live from Seattle, Washington at the CenturyLink Event Center.
Gonna be a great weekend of Heroes Esports, so can't wait for that. But we gotta get ready for game number 2. It's coming your way. We'll be right back. Hey there, welcome back to Heroes of the Dorm 2016. I'm Trikslyr and joined by Gillyweed. How are you doing? What do you think about Game 1?
Game 1 looked pretty dominant for Boston College. We're going to need to see Johns Hopkins pull out all of their tricks. If they've got any secret strategies, this is it. This is the time to do it.
Time for some murky action if you're asking me. But first, let's check out the leaderboards here of the teams that everyone believes is going to the Epic 8. Here it is, Arizona State, Cal, Berkeley, UConn. Boston College there at number 4. 3% of people think they will be going to win the entire tournament, but 20% of you do believe they will at least make it to the Epic 8. Of course, Boston College got their sights set on higher grounds there. They want to move to the top 4 and all the way to the finals if need be.
Right, they of course want to keep the run, mirror the run that they did last time by getting to the Heroic 4, but then they told me that at that point, if they're able to get that, might as well just win the whole thing.
Might as well just win the whole tournament. Casually win it, if you will. So, yeah, looking excited for this next matchup again. We're going to see what they can do in game number 2. But again, from Johns Hopkins, I need to see some fire from these guys because they have it. We saw it last week in the round of 32 and the round of 64. Just the round of 16, they seemed a little bit scared. And, you know, to be fair, Boston College is a dominant team.
Yeah.
We've been talking about the entire time, but you can't let that affect you. Remember, their heroes that they are picking do have weaknesses. You just need to exploit it. So let's move into the draft here and get an idea of what we'll be seeing on this next map. Cursed Hollow will be the choice.
All right, so Cursed Hollow, so far we have Zul and Taronda banned by Johns Hopkins, Sonya and ETC going to be banned by Boston College. So once again, banning one of those comfort picks that we saw from Johns Hopkins in the round of 32.
Thrall being picked up again from Johns Hopkins is interesting to me. Now, in game number 1, I feel like the Thrall play was a little bit more passive than I would like to see from a Thrall player. But to be fair, he constantly had a lot of gems sitting on top of him. And this battleground, he won't have to deal with that pressure.
Right.
So now he'll be able to get up close and personal to the opposing team and try and pick them apart if possible.
So they're also going to add Rhaegar as their support. Meanwhile, Boston College have Muradin, Li-Ming, and Tastar. So once again, they have Li-Ming and Tastar they had before, and now they have Muradin, a warrior we know they like to play, so they have to be feeling very good so far with this draft.
And Muradin will allow Boston College to be more aggressive. This is something that they're actually pretty used to. We played a lot of Illidan play in the past as well. This is a team that when they get heroes that they can jump in the middle of the action, they will do it right away. Johanna is a great pickup here. That's a good way to kind of mitigate that aggression that will be coming from Boston College, especially with the force walls that we saw from Taz in our last game. We can really expect some major punishing happening. But here's Johanna. Punish, Condemn, Shield Glare, her main abilities. Blessed Shield is a heroic you'll see most of the time. Really good for peeling an Iron Skin, which really allows her to get in there and prevent teams from going full ham mode, if you will, on your team.
Right, you can go in and hopefully try to tank some of the abilities from your opponents and then use Iron Skin to be able to get back to your team, all the while your team is throwing out all of the damage that they need to do. So here, going back into the draft, Illidan and Brightwing, and here is the classic Boston College that I saw in the group stage from them. King Plato will be playing that Illidan.
They are going full aggression here. Illidan, Brightwing, and Muradin can be heroes that can really get in the middle of the action, especially with Brightwing able to give shields to Illidan. Also, she's able to grab a talent that gives some extra ability power, prevent or resistance, which allows for Illidan to be just that aggressive here. So we'll see how that will work out here for Boston College. A 5th pick is needed for Johns Hopkins. Gonna need maybe a little bit more control in these team fights. I would probably actually like to see another assassin here. Being able to have Johanna dive forward onto the opposing team whenever Illidan comes towards you, and really having your damage amplify everything they have on top of Illidan can be a great way to deal with this hero if they're a little bit too aggressive.
Yeah, I mean, Vala, they were playing Vala before, so we could potentially see that. Jaina is still available too as a potential. We've got Kilthos occasionally, we see that, and it will be that Vala that they have, so she'll be able to bring in some more wave clear, some safe damage too. She has Vault to be able to get away, which will be very necessary when they're going up against an Illidan.
And Random Vengeance can be strong too, just really A, to lock down Illidan for a second or two so you get enough time to really bring in that damage, or B, you can drop it behind Illidan and try and hit the opposing members that are trying to engage afterwards so you have time to actually deal with that hero. So Johns Hopkins does have tools here to actually deal with the aggression coming from Boston College. The question is, will they do it right and will they be effective?
So speaking of our Illidan player, it's going to come down a lot to Boston College. Yes, they have Li-Ming, which is going to be great. She'll be throwing out the safe damage, but Illidan is really kind of a distraction, but also something that you just have to deal with, especially because they have so many cards on him. Let's take a look at Apollo, the team captain of Boston College.
Apollo, great guy here. You can see him playing a different amount of heroes here. Remember, in the early rounds, he was playing more assassins. You see Greymane, you see Fawcett there. Been playing Muradin here and there lately too. Again, a guy that can change roles as need be for the team. seen it a few times here. Murden, he's 3-0 with that hero, so we'll most likely be seeing him on Murden once again today. He just loves being aggressive and getting in there. And here is King Plato. King Plato, most likely to be the Illidan player for today. A guy that, when it comes to micro-mechanics and working those auto attacks, he's great. You see that with Zeratul, you see that with Illidan here. Heroes that really benefit from a guy that understands I'm aggressive and I take people down.
Yeah, I loved when I talked to these guys and I asked who the playmakers were. Apollo said, King Plato's the playmaker. He has the flashy plays, but he also can sometimes get caught out of position. So that will be something that they'll have to watch out for, especially because it is Illidan. But the nice thing is they do have Brightwing who can come in. She can phase shift in, be able to also blink heal to keep him alive and give him that pixie dust for not only negating the ability damage, but also movement speed as well.
Let's go ahead and talk about Kylaris on the other side as well. She played so well last week in the round of 32, really bringing in the supports with Lieutenant Morales, but one of her strongest heroes is Rhaegar. They're bringing out the big guns for this game because they understand that if they lose this match, they're out of the entire tournament. So Rhaegar will be the pickup here for Kylaris, and we'll see how she's able to pull that off. She's also pulled off Murky, by the way, in earlier rounds, so I was kind of hoping for that. But maybe we'll get it in Game 3 if they can come back. Rhaegar can be pretty helpful against Illidan with that totem. She's going to have to be really on point with making sure she lands those and make sure she's slowing down the aggression there from the opposing team. But, of course, if she hits her heals, she'll be in a great spot.
Yeah, it all comes down to whether or not they can land those ancestral heals in time. But we are ready for game number 2 on Cursed Hollow between Boston College and Johns Hopkins.
Let's do it. So here we are, game number 2, do or die for Johns Hopkins. Solely in tactical, Kylaris, Gatacane, and Ember Strike will be bringing their A game here. Or on the other side, Boston College will be moving forward to the Epic 8. Here they are. Bay, Apollo, King Plato, Euro, and Semi-Q. This team just seems to work together unlike any other teams that we've already seen before. They're on the level of almost Arizona State or other #1 seeds that are in this entire tournament.
Yeah, the fact that they just have so much synergy because of the fact that they used to play together, specifically Apollo and King Plato on other teams after Heroes of the Dorm last year, but also with Semi-Cute, who played for them, who was their support last year too. So they have a lot of good synergy and have really been working on folding in Bay and Euros.
And we want to hear from you. Make sure to tweet at Heroes of the Dorm and let us know who you think will be winning this tournament. JHU for Johns Hopkins and BC for Boston College. Now, aggression occurring here in the middle lane. Right away, you saw a storm bolt from Apollo going straight to Johanna. Not a hero that you normally want to target, especially with that iron skin. She was able to walk away, but you can see the aggression already from Boston College. Their fire is burning.
The nice thing for Johns Hopkins is they have both Thrall and Zagara, so they have really good, safe solo laners in both top and bottom. Ones who will be able to go in, but of course, gotta make sure you stay safe because Pool Plato, Boston College, will be looking for trying to be able to pick up some of those early picks that we saw Johns Hopkins going for in the last game.
And Boston College actually has tools to deal with creep here. They have Illidan, who has a free sweeping strike on his W that will allow for him to move forward in a linear area and just apply damage, which will reveal those creep tumors. And then you have Semi-Q who can drop down her Q and really help out with that as well. So you're going to see them constantly managing Gatacane. Gatacane will have a hard time with this lane if he doesn't have any more help. And luckily, Johanna comes down to help out with that.
Yeah.
Try and help secure at least a couple of creep tumors.
Yeah, Boston College already was throwing down some damage onto the towers. Any amount of structures they can take out are really nice if they can get a curse later on. The fact that they would already have the towers down in front of the forts means they could move directly onto the forts, and especially in these 2 lanes where bosses are possible, as if you can pick those up, you can make sure that you can just assist them into the inner structures and start to get a lot of experience and open up a way to the core.
Johanna is rotating a lot. Notice how she was down here in the bottom lane a couple seconds ago. She's already on the top lane, just moving around here, taking her shield wherever she can here, allowing Thrall some relief here, as it looked like Thrall took some damage, but now we'll be moving over to the Giants here on the far left. Gonna grab them. They do spawn at 2 minutes. Normally you're gonna see those spawn around 2, but they aren't grabbed until about 2 minutes and 30 seconds. But with Boston College realizing that Johns Hopkins is grabbing those a little bit early, they're gonna grab their own here on the far right. Thrall will start his on the far left, and Murden actually tried to evade a little bit, but Thrall caught that. So you're gonna see Boston College pull back and be happy with what they have there.
Yep, both teams will have their Giants pushing, so whoever gets the most benefit out of that, really, it'll come down to where this tribute spawns right now, and it's going to be Boston College. With their Giants pushing in the bottom now, they force Johns Hopkins to say, do we leave Zagara down here to try to deal with this, and then maybe just have to give up this tribute? We'll see how they respond.
Yeah, Boston College definitely gets the upper hand here with that pressure on the bottom lane because the tribute spawned in the top right corner, which makes the Giants kind of nullified here. for Johns Hopkins, but let's see what they'll try to do. Try and take it here. Kyleris will be leading the charge here and trying to grab the tribute. All 4 members are here for Boston College, and now a 5th with Brightwing coming in, and Tactical is just deleted there. Bay now bringing the aggression as well, slowly and low on HP. Bay showed up once again, and with that critical mass resetting, you can just see how Boston College, if you are on point with hitting the Storm Bolts, bringing the aggression, you can win team fights that quick.
It's very interesting to me who we have playing what from Johns Hopkins. The fact that Tactical is back on the melee assassin of Thrall, and they've moved Ember Strike, back to Johanna, so maybe they are feeling the pressure and wondering if they should go back to that, but this is really not the time to be experimenting too much when you have your tournament life on the line.
Yeah, you gotta put your best players in scenarios where they can win, and with Sonya being banned out, Ember Strikes is naturally an aggressive player, and Sonya kind of really allows that playstyle to be a playstyle you can get away with. Johanna now allows him to be a bit more aggressive, but now he's a little bit more tanky and has less damage that he can put on the opposing members. So we're going to need to see him play a little bit more reserved and more of a control game. Ember Strikes is going to have to make sure that he changes the way he plays for the benefit of his team.
So we have Thrill of Battle picked up for Illidan. It's something that he can activate that makes his basic attacks bring back the cooldowns of his abilities even faster. Knowing that he has 2 supports to back him up means he doesn't necessarily have to worry about first aid, and this is a very King Plato specific talent. He loves this talent on Illidan.
Yeah, that he does. He's grabbed it so many times already in this tournament. We'll see if it will pay off for him. And I think it will. As you mentioned, the double support here is just so strong for Illidan. Leaving to play safe, poke from afar. In fact, she's already going the Arcane Missile build here, where she just kind of sits back, hits her Q, and makes sure to stay out of danger. This bush is a bush that you need to be scared of, and Tactical knows of it, but he still gets caught there by a Stormbolt. Ember Strike trying to come around. Already, though, we have Illidan diving on Zagara below this fight, actually going straight for it. Apollo taking damage from Johns Hopkins, but Gatacane is in trouble and will get picked off as King Plato is relentless. King
Plato is, and Yoro's going to grab the tribute, so now Boston College finds themselves already on curse point, only needing one of those to be able to turn off their opponent's structures and really start to put the damage on. Zagara has picked up Rapid Incubation, so that's a talent that is going to help her with being able to stay in lane a lot longer. The fact that she can channel to get some health and some mana back is going to be really nice for her, but unfortunately it did not at least help keep her alive in that situation.
Boston College is really feeling themselves right now in the top right corner. They are actually grabbing the boss already at 5 minutes. They have Murd in the top, Brightwing in the bottom. Brightwing can show up at any point. King Plato being on Illidan there, and Tacit are bringing in the shields, allows for him to lifesteal and not really take too much damage. And if Johns Hopkins were to be aware and know that they're doing this, they could invade it. However, Boston College has put so much fear into them, they're playing so safe that they grab this boss without anyone even looking in the area.
Right, and they did have Giants up, so it could have been the potential. They did a good job of keeping both Brightwing and Muradin in lane. So it was just 3 people gone and so early that I just don't think it was ever even an idea on Johns Hopkins' mind. But King Plato has been playing out of his mind, and here he goes into the fight.
Again, just diving in, oh my gosh, I feel so bad for Johns Hopkins right now. They seem a little bit outclassed here. As King Plato now hitting 10 will dive forward, bringing in the aggression. Ember Strike being body blocked as well as Sully, and 3 members will eventually force some retreat, but King Plato walks away still full health. All the damage they put in was not enough, as Tassadar and Brightwing bringing the heals and the shields were just so much. Gatacane, though, about to be dived in the bottom lane. This poor Zagara, I feel so bad for him. Poor guy.
Yep.
He's getting picked apart. Stormbolt into a sweeping strike dive. 5 members here, and that will be a kill. They could potentially even move forward and go for the keep. Are they going to do this?
Yep, they are looking. They're pinging the walls. They're trying to move over, and King Plato is already on the keep. They know they have their heroic abilities already. Haymaker, by the way, going to be picked up by Muradin. And the fact that Johns Hopkins was forced into responding to the top lane. During all of that fighting over the tribute, there was still a boss pushing up in top, and it took out the fort. And so while this is happening, a keep is going to go down, a very early keep for Boston College.
Well, I like that Johns Hopkins knows what they need to do to come back, and they had to get 10, so they did. They soaked up in the middle lane and the top lane, and now they're at a point where they could fight back on their opponents as they would like, but they need to do it soon, and they need to do it in a manner that slows Boston College down. Right now, they have full adrenaline going, they have momentum, and they know it. Boss will be the race here for Boston College. Ember Strike showing up will be the one to engage. A nice condemn. There's a phase shift. There is a Sunray hitting 5 people. That was nice. Random Vengeance does come down. Apollo is going to be picked apart, but King Plato still relatively in high health here, taking some damage, finally retreating. Devouring Maul was pretty big here from Gatacane. Will King Plato go down? No, but finally 2 members come down, and Johns Hopkins is showing some life.
Man, a little bit too much aggression from Boston College. They felt very confident after getting that keep, as they should. but still the fact that heroic abilities were finally picked up by Johns Hopkins meant that they were able to come back and be able to take that fight. So good job for them in knowing exactly what they needed to do. But it's still an uphill battle because of the fact that they lost a keep so early on. But this boss at least will help push back that lane a lot.
This definitely helps them out a lot here, as that will get some pressure on the bottom. They can potentially get the fort if they want to move in, but you can see the aggression here. The Sundering hits 5 people, knocking everyone back. The Rain of Vengeance from Solians was nice. It held a couple people in the area, and then you see everyone kind of swarm on top of Illidan. Once the other members came in to help Illidan, the Devouring Maw came from Gata Kane. They all turned around, got 2 kills. I like how not greedy Johns Hopkins was there. They realized that they had a couple of kills, which is very, very helpful. It gives them the boss if they secure those 2 kills, so they took it, grabbed it, and now are fighting back.
The Ancestral Healing was also key. They were focusing a lot on trying to take out Thrall, remove Tactical from the fight, and they weren't able to do so. And in that process, King Plato took so much damage that he had to back up, and they had to leave those 2 members behind. But they still are ahead in experience. They're going to pick up 13 right now, and with that, maybe look for a fight once again.
Johns Hopkins did make a slight mistake there. They just put the boss in the bottom lane and didn't actually put any pressure on it. That fort got defended perfectly there from Boston College, so in terms of infrastructure and map control, Boston College is still way ahead. With the keeping down in the bottom left corner, that lane will be a constant pressure on them. That will be a burden on Johns Hopkins, and they're going to have to constantly deal with it.
Especially because a lot of times when you fight over the tribute, it is such a long fight.
Totally.
Especially when Boston College has the double support. They can sit there for a very long time and sustain through the fights. And that's exactly what they want to do. Look how they've pushed this bottom lane once again with their Giants. It's moved all the way up, which forces Johns Hopkins to respond, and this will be another tribute for Boston College.
The tribute control has been so well done here by Boston College. It's again with the pressure on the bottom lane, kind of hitting on the front door here of Johns Hopkins. Boston College gets a tribute for free. In fact, they're not even grabbing it yet. I feel like they want to fight. They're saying, hey, come try and maybe take this tribute. Start moving to an area where you can get to an engagement. Yarrow putting some pressure here on the middle, finally getting that fort down to about half health. The entire team of Johns Hopkins has given up on spreading out. They're now grouping up as 5 and just defending wherever they can and trying to find pickoffs if possible, but with Muradin being here and Tassadar, those are 2 heroes that you never want to fully engage on without knowing where all targets are.
Right, and they do see that Illidan is in the top, Brightwing's in the bottom. Brightwing is not much as something that you can just try to engage on because she can always phase shift in. But just the fact that Boston College has forced Johns Hopkins into this position where they want to all stick together, which means they are not soaking all of the lanes, and Boston is going to continue to get further and further ahead with that Brightwing.
They will, but we do see Johns Hopkins dancing around, trying to find an opportunity here as Bay just slowly sieges down here on the middle fort. Brightwing grouping up down the bottom there, just really trying to get those catapults hitting on top of that core. Any damage would be helpful for them, and the fort is just killed immediately here. This is the pressure that Brightwing can bring, especially when your team is ahead. Just knowing that Brightwing is down there is still not enough for you to get a full engage.
All right, she's going to start to phase shift in, and it looks like she and Illidan are going to start to move up toward that boss that's available. We should have a tribute spawning very, very soon, too. But with that, they're going to continue to siege down that mid, start to work on taking out the boss, and once again, we see that power of having an Illidan on your team.
Yeah, you can see him just life-stealing through here. The shields from the phase shift was just enough. Semi-Cute helping out with the healing as well. The tribute, though, does spawn in a location where Boston College would not like for the opposing team to be at. And with Johns Hopkins moving over there, they're going to give up that boss and retreat from trying to take it. We have Kylos going in. Kylos does get caught out with the force wall. Luckily, Ember Strike was there with the Condemn to keep everyone at bay. King Plato trying to chase down anyone. Will hit a 2-man Metamorphosis. The Sundering does go off. King Plato does get focused for a little bit here. The Maul hitting 2 members. Apollo low on HP will get picked off. Gatacan in trouble as well, but it is a 4v4.
The Maul was really great, but Illidan is just hammering down the back line. He's already taken down 1, and Vala falls 2. He is very far away from his team, though, but still being able to sustain through while the rest of this team starts to pick up that tribute. And Kylaris even is going to be in trouble. This is an Illidan 1v2, still comes out on top.
Yeah, after he took out Thrall, he had full confidence he could take that fight, especially with having that level lead and that blood for blood talent available to them. And now Boston College wins the team fight, although that was a decent start for Johns Hopkins. It wasn't enough with them being a couple levels behind. Now this boss getting picked up in the top right corner. And remember, the boss in the very far bottom left corner pops up very soon as well.
Right. And that is a boss that could go to core.
That could go to core and potentially win the game if Boston College is feeling like they could win here and now. So pressure will be in the top lane. How would Johns Hopkins deal with it? And how will they get to 16? And how will they win a team fight? So many questions that they have to figure the answers out to, and soon.
So Pool Play-Doh once again has put Johns Hopkins into the position where they are just responding to Boston College's game. That is always something that you want to do in Heroes of the Storm anyway, is you want them to be the ones who are just reacting to you while you have free reign of the battleground. And that is the position that they put themselves in. They're even trying to contest these giants. They want to have these pushing along with the boss. And with the 16 advantage, there's nothing really that Johns Hopkins can do. They know if they lost a fight here, they would lose the game.
King Play-Doh is so scary right now. He's such a huge shark that's pushing around Johns Hopkins. The moment he showed his presence in that area, you saw Johns Hopkins as 4 people pull away. The dive here as the curse will be picked up by Boston College. Huge sundering, but everyone is already so low on health here. King Play-Doh charging in. Tactical in trouble. There's the dive. King Play-Doh leading the charge. Kylaris does get caught with a Storm Bolt. Force Wall will hold her in. Apollo trying to help out as well. Kylaris trying to run away. We'll have War Form in a second, but it is not up in time. And now King Play-Doh and the rest of the gang are continuing to push down the core.
Oh, King Play-Doh is going to go down, but they still have so many people on the core, and the boss is still very healthy to move in. Brightwing was even able to pick up a tribute. She went back and then could phase shift in to be able to even just get them a curse to add insult to injury. Johanna falls just as she's trying to get into the Nexus, and that will be it. A quick 2-0 for Boston College, who moves on to the Epic 8.
Boston College showing why they have been voted by many users to go to the Epic 8, dominating that entire matchup, winning 2-0, led by King Play-Doh in game number 2, but you can see as a team, they just move as a cohesive unit. Such great play.
Yeah, it was very fantastic by them. You know, in the first game, we saw Johns Hopkins be able to get a couple of early pickups, but this game was even stronger for Boston College.
Yeah, they really just showed up. They said that they're waking up. The Johns Hopkins, man, a team that came here with a lot of heart. You know, I feel for them. They were really playing well. Round 64 was great for them. Round 32 was great. They got a little bit more learning to do, and they'll be good to go. I hope to see them again next year. Again, this is a team that didn't even think they would make it this far, so kudos to them. But you can tell that there are teams like Boston College that are just a little bit better and will outclass you if you're not ready for them. So, we do have a Skype interview coming to you guys live. We're going to be having King Play-Doh on the phone. King Play-Doh, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
King Play-Doh, congratulations on the win. First off, let's just say it, man. Your Illidan play was spectacular. How are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling good.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Good, man. So just tell me, why was the Illidan picking game number 2? Were you guys feeling very, very confident? Was it a team comp that you guys pick as a comfort pick, or was it more of like, hey, we see some weakness. It seemed a little scared. We can make this work.
I think it's definitely a comfort pick for us, especially on Curse Hollow, I think. And we were ready to just go ham on them. So
Real question, where was the Hunt, the best heroic in the game?
Oh, no.
you know, I thought about it, but definitely Metamorphosis is the way to go, I think,
All right.
especially with all the shields and that
Maybe
comp.
next time. Gilly, you got any questions for him?
Yeah, so what kind of things did you do to prepare? You obviously knew some of the comfort picks, judging by your bans, but what were you doing? Did you think that you guys would win just in draft alone, or did you feel that it was gameplay as well that you really were able to just have such a great win very handily?
I think it's definitely gameplay and a combination of gameplay and strategy. We've been practicing a lot this past week. I mean, not only for UTA, but also for this team as well. And I think it really showed by how much we've improved. And I'm really happy with how the games went today.
Now, speaking of UT Arlington, I believe that we are going to be commentating that game next. What are you guys going to be doing to prep for that? Because that's going to be a very big match. If they are able to advance, of course.
I think we've done our best to prepare, and we'll probably go through some scrims and replays today. Not only of our games, but I guess of theirs as well, just to study up and, you know, see some, I guess, patterns in their play. But besides that, I think we just focus on our own game, and I think we should be fine tomorrow.
Well,
Awesome.
we'll be keeping an eye on you. King Play-Doh, thank you so much for the interview, and congratulations to you and Boston College. We'll see you tomorrow, man.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
All right, guys. Well, that was the first matchup of the day. Our next matchup, as mentioned by Gillyweed, is going to be UT Arlington versus Carleton, and it's going to be a great match as well. UT Arlington is a team that many believe will make it out and at least go all the way to the Heroic Four, as Carleton, though, they are a team that's coming in a little bit confident. They feel like they got it in the works, so we'll be looking at that soon. Make sure to check out heroesofthedorm.com for more information about the entire tournament. We'll be seeing you in game number 2.